All right. Should be all good to go. Should be live. Some of you guys waiting here. Let me just make sure that we are. Sheets might be joining us if he can make it, although I won't promise anything at the moment. All right, we're good. So I'll just wait for people to join in here before we really start diving down into everything related to this Truck Series race, which today I think not easy in a sense of I don't think there's 6 distinct guys to build lineups for, but I think we can throw out a lot of the field today, very, very easily. Not only due to the fact that, we practice and queued in the middle of the day, we're gonna be racing at night, but looking back at how people performed at Texas and Las Vegas, we have an idea of who's gonna be at least, uh, in the top 7 towards stage 3 in this race. We can try and get as many of those guys in our lineups as possible. Several of them are able to hit value pretty easily with just baked in place differential that they have. And so um, I personally really like this as a slate to do a lot of lineups in. I'm not exactly uh I would not be a fan of doing like 3 or even like a single entry lineup. I don't think this is necessarily the slate for that because you could do everything right and still get beat just by whatever combination ends up working and going through for these races. Let me go ahead and put this up on the screen and we can go ahead and take a look at it. So, what I want to do first is, specifically look at the people who are most likely to score either 40s or 50 points today, and then we can kind of move on and look at value and everything from that. And so we're just going to highlight those guys as A at the moment on the screen. Anybody that I would argue has a real chance of scoring 40 and over points today, whether they are good or bad or whether they hit value. We are not addressing that aspect at the moment. We are just addressing and identifying the individual drivers who can score over 40 points today. Uh, that we could realistically see doing that. And it'd be Nicholas Sanchez as the last fella. You can include Lane Riggs in this. I'm not going to because he isn't necessarily dependent on scoring that much. But when we look at the guys I just highlighted, we have one, two, three, four, five. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8, 9. So we have 9 drivers that we've identified that can realistically score 40 or more points. Now, why have I repeated that so much today? Well, because typically those are the guys that you target when you want to try and land on highest scoring lineups, on the optimal lineups, and et cetera, et cetera. And entering this week, if you watched the previous video or if you saw how I was approaching this, it's very much I want to fit as many of these good guys in our lineups as possible. Notice I just highlighted them based on projections. Then when you actually look at the names and who they are, not necessarily like, oh, this driver is good track history here, but like, hey, Nicholas, duh, it would make sense that he's going to be up top late in the day. He has place differential baked in. Hey, the two Gray brothers who have been phenomenal this year, who have both ran in the top 7 and 8 in multiple races this year, who have had speed, especially on the 1.5s. That's when I truly believe you can um, truly see the separation between like Tricon. I'm not saying that Gray and Gray are fighting for 1 and 2. I'm just saying that they are kind of at the bottom tier or the bottom of the top tier teams, because really the top teams, hold like 1 through 6th in the running order, and then you have 7th to 11th, and then 12 to 15. That's really the realistic ranges of who can actually compete for wins. Everything past that, you're just depending on people ranking out to get in the top 15 and situations of like pit strategy and stuff to gain positions. But when we look at these, like Sanchez, the two Gray brothers, so we see these two guys, and well, we see these 3 plays rather, and we see that Nicholas is 10-3, Tanner is 7-3 or 7-4, which is wild, and Taylor's 9-2. These two guys have a very real chance of just hitting value right off the bat. Same thing with Nicholas Sanchez, and depending on what the leaders are doing up top, he can very easily force in. Um, he can very easily force his way in, and I will certainly tell him that. You can type that in the Discord as well, Alex, if you are in it, or if not, I can still relay that information. But I'm glad Sheets' videos are helping you, and that you guys enjoy listening to his stuff as well. Uh, That's why I was still shocked that people didn't want to hear the Sims talk last week when I had cheats on here. Anyway, when we look at Ankrum, just needs 45 to pay it off. We can very easily see him doing that. Now, the real highlight here is Ben Rhodes at 83. Yes, his raw speed is not going to show him as a top 5 contender, but when we look at what this team has specifically done, especially if a race isn't going his direction, they are very much one of the teams that'll very happily get off pit sequence or get off of tire sequences, whatever they need to do differently, they do that. Which typically you really really like those not even volatile, but those risk takers in DFS. And then when you look at Eka, Saint Smith, Raja, and Majeski, these guys are very. Oh, I didn't highlight Corey Heim. That's who I'm missing here. I was like, there should be another guy. Corey Heim was the fastest car in the pack, who has started in the back of the field in multiple, not even in the back of the field, who started, he started 25th at Vegas, drove up through the field like it was a Sunday stroll. And then we look at him starting 14th at Texas, drove up through the field and finished second. And I'm not saying finished second just because he finished there. I'm saying like he was basically the second best car, second, third best car in Texas. When we look back at where he was at Las Vegas, he was the second best car at Las Vegas. The fact that you have Corey Heim starting 13th, yes, he's 11,000, but I think he's the main favorite to win this race. And luckily, we don't need him to just run away with the field or run away with the race early. I just think Corey Heim has the highest likelihood to win this race. And so when you're looking at all these guys I highlighted in green, I truly believe that you can realistically get 3 of these guys in every line. If you're chasing specifically Tanner Gray and Ben Rhodes, you can very easily get 4 of these people in your lineups. You can very easily go like Sanchez, Majeski. So you have, the place differential in the back of the field of him getting through the field. Majeski as a potential early lap leader. And then you go with like Ben Rhodes and then, Tanner Gray at 74. Like that's a fantastic lineup. I would personally like those types of builds. And so today, when I'm building specifically, I'm going to primarily focus on Tanner Gray. I'm most likely going to focus on Ben Rhodes just because of the mispricing, or not even because of the mispricing, but his lower pricing compared to the rest of the field. And when you look at like, this is, guys projected to be over 40 points. I have a lot of these guys in the 50s because they're, I'm expecting them to get fast laps and laps led. But even if they don't, everybody I highlighted here are all guys who will most likely be competing for a top 10. Okay, very likely Chase Purdy gets pushed out of the top 10, or even like he gets like 9th, 8th. That's how it is. Ty Dillon, now, this car with DiBenedetto last year had really good speed in the fall race. And very similar conditions today. It's a much more cooler day here than it typically is in the spring. So, I mean, really, any place differential that Ty Dillon loses is going to hurt us tremendously. But like, this is probably Dillon's best chance for like a top 12 finish, just straight up on speed. But most likely he falls out. Connor Mozak, 7,500. His price is high enough to where, as long as he loses like 2-3 positions, he's no longer even in the discussion of possibly like moving people out of the off more or whatever. And so it's most likely he moves out, getting like blows. That's just how it is. He finishes 10th, whatever. Jake Garcia falls back a few positions. Stuart Friesen falls back a few positions. And all the guys in green are basically your top 10. And then at that point, you're just trying to, hopefully you landed on the lap leader. And so that's primarily how I'm going to be building today. And certainly if I'm not like, and actually let me change it up at this point. It's like we've identified the people who are going to compete. The people that I actually truly have interest in would be these people based on pricing. It would be very much Raja or Ty Majeski. I probably don't expect to play them together, and I probably don't play Ty Majeski here. I'd rather take the savings that I get from Raja. I know Raja's going to have a good car because the Spire team is pretty much defaulted to the de facto best team at this point of just raw potential speed. I'd much rather trust Raja over Chase Purdy. But him at 95 works in every line. 83, 9,000 for Ankrum I like. As I said, I think Heim has the best chance of winning this race. Both the Gray brothers and Sanchez back here. And so now we're at this point. You see why I'm like, yeah, you could very easily get 3, if not 4 of these guys in your lineups because you're only paying up for really 2 individual drivers. Uh, just with how the Truck Series is priced, we already have a pretty decent average remaining salary on most people, especially like I said, if you're not necessarily going to Eckes, you're not going to Zane Smith. Really, if you don't chase Ty Majeski and say he gets beat by place differential, you're only paying up for like 1 to 2 10K guys. With that, you have an average of you're very close to having an average of like 7,000 people, $7,000 left for your remaining 3 guys. I'm telling you, I would focus on trying to get 4 of these guys in there. That's how I would approach it. So now that we've mentioned that, and we've very much looked at the guys who can score over 40 points, even like their bad days. Like you have Zane Smith, who I'm probably not going to play, but you have like Zane Smith, who is most likely going to finish like 7th or 6th today. Give him like 6 fast laps throughout the day, and you're looking at him right around like 41, 43 points, somewhere around there. Terrible DFS play, not hitting value, but just to give an example of where he falls in line of where everybody is going to end up scoring. Real chance that Zane Smith is still like a top 12 scorer. We just don't need him price wise. And due to that, we see a lot of people scoring quite poorly today. Like I got Daniel Dye for 24. I got Jake Garcia for 27. I got Stuart Friesen for 30 points. I got Ty Dillon for 30 points. And then a lot of the value is very much, low to mid 20s. And so there's not a true value play that I really love today. I think it's going to be very much what we end up landing on. And for me at the moment, I'm primarily just ending up having to use Lawless Allen because he is at the bottom of the salary. And this is a race where I'd very much like, okay, I get my one bad punt play. I wish he was starting a bit farther back, but Lawless at 51 is not going to kill me when I'm getting 4 of my other 5 guys hopefully scoring over 48 points. Like that, I'm more than happy to take that on. And when we start looking at this back of the field here in terms of value, Timmy Hill at 57 would probably be the priority because he's starting one spot farther or one spot from last. But that 700 is going to be really hard to come by if you're paying up for all the people that I want to pay up for. And so, like, I'm very much getting to Lawless Allen, Thad Moffitt. Those would probably be the guys I end up getting to just based on how I'm building today. But I'd prioritize Ty Dillon if I can. Or not Ty Dillon. I would prioritize Timmy Hill if I can find the 700 for him. But that's really the way I'm going to build my lineups. And due to that, I'm a little hesitant on throwing a ton of lineups in today. I think I'm going to cap it at 14 just because I don't know. I think we can get into some really quick trouble, at least for me. Like if I really start going overweight on these guys and we have a big wreck at Kansas, which we've seen before in the Truck Series, real chance I get like 11 of those 14 lines dead out of that wreck, or from a wreck here. And so, like people who wreck here at Kansas are typically the faster guys. That's just how it is. And so like that's really my only thought as I kind of think out loud here. So I think that's, if you guys get any questions or if you want me to look at anything specifically for the practice, what's going on Eagles, like this is where everybody lines in. Yet again, we're not necessarily focusing on this because this is drastically different practice sessions or drastically different track, state sessions, whatever, compared to the race tonight. But this is kind of, and I went ahead and threw this in Discord as well. I ended up getting a lot of, I should have just never posted on Twitter. I got like 6 people who were like, you're not doing the projections day for trucks? Well, you're at a golf tournament? You're not going to do that. I'm like, dude, bro, I've already left the tournament. I'm already going home. I'm already going home to do this. Like, chillax, brother. I've always updated you guys if I'm not able to do something. I had no intention of staying at the golf course all day. Lord knows I would hate that. And this is kind of where everybody falls in line back here. But like, I mean, realistically, like here, I don't want to put my thing up, but if you go ahead, let me bring up Driver averages. So this is where we're going to look at like straight up driver averages here. We just get up driveraverages.org. I mean, look at the truck series, and we can go ahead and look at where these guys are at these races. And we look at Las Vegas, and we look at the Tejas race, and we see that when we sort them by where these drivers are in terms of driver rating, we see that they are very much in line of where they should be at. Pretty much everybody I just mentioned, like this is the Las Vegas race, and yet again sorted by driver rating, which issues aside, just for this example, that's why we're focusing on that. We can very easily see how these guys are falling in line at where the hierarchy of the field is. And then when we look at the same thing from Texas, thank God that was not a bad ad. I hate sites like this when they're like, they click something and they throw like a full thing at you. Man. But then we look at the Texas race and we see, hey, who's up there again? We have Eckes, Sanchez, Corey Heim, Gray, Daniel Dye, Ty Majeski, but it's the same fellas. It's the same, like I said, it's pretty much the same freaking dudes running up top and chasing to finish up top. And when you have place differential from those individual drivers baked in, as we highlighted and stuff, like that's where we want to go. See what you guys are saying here. Yeah, dude. I mean, dude, Kansas has been rough. Like a lot of people forget the playoff race in for Xfinity at Kansas is always a wreck fest. It's always brutal. We've pretty much always had like two of like the four strongest cars get involved in wrecks in the playoffs at Kansas. So Kansas is just rough, more so than normal, and it's usually centered around the good cars. It's not even like guys wrecking in the back of the field. It's always like the fast guys killing themselves and stuff. I don't know what you're asking specifically there, Alex, in terms of Jennifer Jo Cobb. Not sure if that's a meme or a real thing. Your question, not her or whatever. But yeah, man, I think that's practically it. I can't really think of anything else that I want to talk about or do. I'll try and figure out the blank space behind me on the left side. I had to move everything around because of the bumper. And it made much more sense IRL to just move my shelf all the way to the wall. So I got to figure out what I want to do with this like blank area behind me. What else? I think that's mainly it. I think we've about covered everything. A lot of my answers are in the projections. Like I'm rolling off of what the projections tell me today. Specifically down low with the value, whatever it's telling me to get to, I'm getting to. I just want to prioritize chasing the guys who I think are going to finish top 6, top 7 today. And due to the pricing, I think that is very, very doable. Well, you see, that requires us to get one of those and to make one of those. And we're barely slowly on like, the stepping stones of getting merch. The banner will come shortly. I do have a Hoosier Racing flag that I could put up there, but then like, I don't know. I might move the shelf back out. I got to figure it out. But anyway, so that's that, guys. If you have any more questions, you can find me in the Discord. Really past that, thank you guys for watching. Best of luck in this race. I'll see you guys tomorrow.